Alex Carrington stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of his corner office, surveying the city skyline. At 42, he cut an imposing figure, tall, broad-shouldered, with steel-gray eyes that missed nothing. As the CEO of an international logistics company, Alex had built his empire through a relentless need for control and perfection. The intercom buzzed. "Mr. Carrington, your son is here to see you." "Send him in," Alex replied, his stern expression softening slightly. 10-year-old Max bounded into the room, Claire's iPhone clutched in his small hands. "Dad, what's a prenup?" Alex froze, his blood running cold. "Where did you hear that word, Max?" "It was in Mom's email," Max said innocently, holding up the phone with forced casualness. Alex took the device from his son, his heart nearly stopping as he saw the email chain between Claire and her divorce lawyer. They were plotting to leave him, waiting for his father's inheritance. But something had changed. "Max, why don't you go play in my secretary's office for a bit?" Alex said, his voice tight. "I need to talk to your mother." As Max left, Alex strode purposefully toward the elevator, his mind racing. He found Claire in their sprawling penthouse, lounging on a chaise with a fashion magazine. "Care to explain this?" Alex said, tossing the phone onto the coffee table. Claire's face drained of color as she saw the screen. She snatched the phone, her eyes darting between it and Alex. "How dare you look through my private emails?" "Our son found it," Alex replied coldly. "Now explain." Claire's shoulders sagged, then straightened as a cold smile played across her lips. "I was waiting for your dad's inheritance," she said, her tone dripping with disdain. "But plans change now." Alex felt as if he had been punched in the gut, but he was not done. With a smile, he pulled out his own phone, showing Claire a series of damning photos, her locked in an intimate embrace with Mark, one of his top employees and an old friend. "You won't get a dime," Alex said softly. "You cheated, remember the prenup?" Claire's shocked silence gave way to disbelief. "How do you know?" Without hesitation, Alex's voice turned to ice. "You're done. Pack your things tonight, Claire." Panic began to dawn as she realized the magnitude of her mistake, but it was too late. Alex had already turned his back, leaving her to face the consequences of her actions. Mark Stevens sat in a dimly lit bar, nursing his third whiskey of the night. His phone buzzed incessantly, Claire's name flashing on the screen with increasingly frantic messages. He knew their plan had unraveled spectacularly. Across town, Claire paced in a luxury hotel room, her designer luggage a stark contrast to her disheveled appearance. She had underestimated Alex, but she wasn't going down without a fight. The next morning, Alex strode into Kingan Logistics. Employees scattered before his thunderous expression. In his office, he immediately called his head of security. "I want Mark Stevens' access revoked, all of it. Now." His voice left no room for questions. But Mark was already a step ahead. Before his access was cut, he managed to funnel sensitive business information to several of Carrington Logistics' biggest competitors. Claire, meanwhile, was plotting her own revenge. With her sharp social skills, she began reaching out to her extensive network, spreading rumors about Alex's crumbling empire and tarnishing his once flawless image. As Alex sat in his office reviewing the damage reports, his intercom buzzed. "Mr. Carrington, there's a Victor Zorin on the line for you." Alex's eyes narrowed. Victor Zorin, the ruthless Russian oligarch who had been eyeing his company for years. He picked up the phone, his voice cool and controlled. "Zorin, what can I do for you?" "Ah, Alexander." Zorin's heavily accented voice oozed false sympathy. "I heard about your recent troubles. Perhaps now is a good time to discuss that merger we've been dancing around." With a firm grip on the tightened phone, Alexander Carrington declared to Zorin, "Logistics is not for sale. Not now, not ever." As he ended the call, a chilling realization dawned upon him. This was no mere personal betrayal. It was a direct and calculated threat to his entire empire. Seated across from him was Liam Quinn, a brilliant yet morally ambiguous investigator whom Alex had hired to uncover the secrets of Claire, Mark, and Zorin. The findings Liam presented were more devastating than Alex had feared. "They have been systematically stealing from the company for months," Liam explained, sliding a dossier across the desk. "Their plan is to bankrupt you, dismantle your empire, and flee the country with the spoils." Alex's jaw tightened as he absorbed the damning evidence. At that moment, his phone rang. It was his chief financial officer, urgency lacing his voice. Sir, we have a critical situation. Zoran has launched a series of strategic maneuvers that are crippling our supply chain. Hanging up, Alex knew immediate action was imperative. He swiftly arranged an emergency meeting with Zoran at an exclusive private club. The Russian oligarch sat opposite him, exuding smug overconfidence. Your company is on its knees, Alexander, Zoran taunted. I am offering to buy you out at a fraction of its true value. It is a generous proposal, given the circumstances. Leaning forward, Alex fixed him with a steely gaze. You underestimate me, Zoran. This is far from over. Departing the meeting, Alex's mind was already racing, formulating a strategy not only to survive this onslaught, but to annihilate every one of his adversaries in the process. Returning to his office, Alex launched his counteroffensive. Armed with the evidence Liam had provided, he filed a comprehensive countersuit against Claire and Mark, accusing them of fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy. He then began a systematic purge of Mark's influence within the company, dismissing his associates and severing his access to corporate funds. It was a surgical strike, executed with precision and devastating effect. As night descended upon the city, Alexander stood at his office window, gazing out at the empire he had painstakingly built. The battle had only just begun, but Alexander Carrington was a man who played to win. And when he won, it would be at any cost. Claire Carrington. In the center of her rented apartment, Claire stood encircled by designer luggage that appeared starkly out of place within the modest surroundings. Her perfectly manicured fingers tapped rhythmically against her phone screen as she scrolled through her contacts. She needed an ally, someone capable of helping her turn the tables against Alex. Her finger paused over a name, Andrea Wells, investigative journalist. A cold smile touched Claire's lips as she pressed the call button. Andrea, it's Claire Carrington. I have a story for you. How would you like an exclusive look into the dark side of Alexander Carrington's empire? Across the city, Alex sat in his office, reviewing the latest reports detailing the damage Claire and Mark had inflicted. His intercom buzzed. Mr. Carrington, there's a Ms. Wells from the Tribune Online on the line. She's asking for a comment on some allegations. Alex's eyes narrowed. So the war had begun in earnest. He picked up the phone, his voice cool and controlled. Ms. Wells, what can I do for you? As Andrea laid out the accusations, corruption, abusive leadership, shady dealings, Alex listened in silence, his mind already formulating a counter-strategy. When she finished, he spoke only 2 words, no comment. He hung up and immediately dialed Liam Quinn. I need everything you've got on Claire and Mark. Now, days passed, and the city buzzed with rumors. Headlines screamed of Alex's alleged misdeeds, each more damning than the last. Claire watched from the sidelines, a smug smile on her face as she fed Andrea a steady stream of half-truths and fabrications. Mark, still smarting from his humiliating exit from Carrington Logistics, provided insider details that lent credibility to their claims. But Claire was not satisfied with merely tarnishing Alex's reputation. She aimed to strike where it would hurt him most. I want full custody of Max, she told her lawyer, her voice hard. Paint Alex as an unfit father. Use whatever means necessary. Caught in the crossfire, Max retreated into himself. At school, he overheard whispers about his father and saw the pitying looks directed his way. At home with his teachers, Alex sensed the tension, the barely contained fury that radiated from his father. He did not understand what was happening, only that his world was falling apart. Alex, for his part, had anticipated this maneuver. As Claire's lawyer filed for emergency custody, Alex's team was poised with a counterpunch. They leaked their own narrative to the press, an assertive tale of Claire's affair, her theft from the company, and her manipulation of Max for personal gain. Public sympathy, fickle as ever, began to shift. Claire soon found herself the target of scathing editorials and vicious social media posts. Her carefully cultivated image as the wronged wife crumbled, not only in the public eye but also in the courtroom. Alex's lawyers were relentless. They presented evidence of Claire's infidelity, her attempts to circumvent the prenuptial agreement, and her plans to flee the country with company funds. The judge, a no-nonsense woman with steely eyes, listened impassively. When the gavel fell, Claire's world collapsed. Custody was awarded to the father, Alexander Carrington. The mother, Claire Carrington, was granted supervised visitation pending further review. Claire stumbled from the courtroom, her designer heels clicking sharply on the marble floors. Outside, a sea of reporters waited, microphones thrust forward, cameras flashing. She pushed past them, her face a mask of despair and rage. Alex emerged moments later, Max's small hand clutched in his. He faced the cameras, his expression grim but composed. "Justice has been served," he said simply. "My son and I asked for privacy during this difficult time." As they drove away, Max looked up at his father. "Dad, is it over now?" Alex's grip tightened on the steering wheel. "Not yet, son," he said softly. "But it will be soon." Mark Stevens sat in a dingy motel room, surrounded by empty whiskey bottles and crumpled papers. His laptop glowed in the dim light, displaying financial reports and internal memos from Carrington Logistics. He had been poring over them for days. Seeking any vulnerability in Alex's defenses, his phone vibrated with an incoming call from an unknown number. He answered wearily. "Stevens? Mr. Stevens?" The voice carried a thick Russian accent. "I believe we share a mutual interest in Alexander Karen's downfall." Mark straightened his posture. "Who is this?" "A friend. One who can supply the resources you require to complete what you initiated." It was Zoran. Mark's thoughts accelerated. This represented his final opportunity to retaliate against Alex. "I'm listening," he responded. Elsewhere in the city, within his penthouse office, Alex was engaged in a video conference when alarm sirens began blaring from his computer. Crimson warning messages flashed across numerous monitors. "Sir," his head of IT's panicked voice emerged through the speakers. "We're under assault. Massive data breaches. Our logistics software has been compromised. Shipments are being rerouted." Alex's expression hardened. He had anticipated this confrontation, but the magnitude of the offensive surpassed all his projections. "Initiate Protocol Omega," he commanded. Now, as Carrington Logistics descended into turmoil, Alex maintained preternatural composure. He observed his shipments being delayed, contracts violated, and the corporation's stock value plummeting. His phone rang incessantly, board members, partners, media outlets, all demanding explanations. In his concealed command center, buried deep beneath Carrington Tower, Alex monitored the evolving situation. Liam Quinn stood beside him, delivering real-time intelligence. "It's Mark," Liam verified. "He's collaborating with a team of elite hackers. But there's more. He's secured support from Zoran. Substantial backing." Alex nodded, unsurprised. "And our countermeasures?" Liam grinned, a predator's smile that never touched his eyes. "In position and prepared. Just give the command." Alex's finger hovered above a console button. He contemplated Claire, Mark, all who had betrayed him, and Max, caught in the crossfire of this conflict. His jaw tightened. "Execute," he stated. Across the metropolis, in his motel room, Mark was celebrating. His laptop displayed the devastation unfolding at Carrington Logistics. Zoran was on speakerphone, his satisfaction evident even through the tiny speaker. "Excellent work, Mr. Stevens," Zoran purred. "Carrington is finished. I'll have my people draw up the acquisition papers immediately." Mark grinned, pouring himself another drink. "Here's to the fall of Alexander Carrington," he toasted. But as he raised the glass to his lips, his screen went black. Then, line by line, text began to appear. "Did you really think it would be that easy, Mark?" Mark's blood ran cold. He recognized that writing style. "No," he whispered. "No, no, no." His phone died. The lights flickered and went out. In the darkness, Mark heard heavy footsteps approaching his door. Zoran, in his lavish Moscow office, frowned as his connection with Mark was suddenly cut. He barked orders at his subordinates, demanding to know what was happening. But as reports began flooding in, of frozen assets, of raids on his properties, of arrest warrants issued in multiple countries, he realized with growing horror that he had underestimated Alexander Carrington for the last time. Back in New York, Alex watched impassively as FBI agents handcuffed Mark. From the motel on another screen, he saw Zoran being escorted from his office by Russian authorities. Liam whistled low. "Remind me never to get on your bad side, boss." Alex didn't respond. He stared at the screens, at the empire he had saved, at the enemies he had destroyed. He should have felt triumphant. Instead, he felt empty. His phone buzzed, a text from Max. "Dad, when are you coming home?" Alex closed his eyes, suddenly weary. It's over, he said softly. Let's go home. Claire Carrington stood in the lobby of Carrington Tower, her designer outfit a stark contrast to her haggard appearance. She clutched her handbag like a lifeline as she approached the receptionist. I need to see Alex, Mr. Carrington, she said, her voice hoarse. Please, it's urgent. The receptionist's eyes widened in recognition, but she kept her composure. One moment, please. In his office, Alex was reviewing the documents. The final reports on the Zoran takedown had just been completed when his intercom buzzed. Mr. Carrington, your ex-wife is here to see you. Alex's jaw clenched. He considered turning her away, but curiosity won out. Send her up. When Claire entered, Alex was standing by the window, his back to her. She took a hesitant step forward. Alex, he cut her off, turning to face her. His eyes were cold, devoid of any warmth or recognition. What do you want, Claire? She flinched at his tone, but pressed on. I've made a terrible mistake. I see that now. I'll leave Mark. I'll do anything. Please, just give me another chance. Alex laughed, a harsh, bitter sound that made Claire step back. Another chance? You tried to destroy me, Claire. You used our son as a pawn in your little game. And now what? You think you can bat your eyelashes, and all will be forgiven. He moved to his desk, pressing a button. A holographic display sprang to life, social media feeds, news articles, financial reports. You're done, Claire. Your name is mud in every circle that matters. No one will hire you, partner with you, or even be seen with you in public. Claire's face crumpled as the reality of her situation sank in. What have you done? She whispered. I ruined you, Alex said simply. Just like you tried to ruin me. The difference is, I succeeded. Tears streamed down Claire's face as she sank into a chair. What about Max? He needs his mother. Alex's expression hardened further. You lost the right to call yourself his mother when you used him to try and hurt me. He's better off without you. As if on cue, Alex's phone buzzed. A text from Mark's lawyer, client willing to make deal. Full confession in exchange for reduced sentence. Alex showed the message to Claire, watching as the last bit of fight left her eyes. It's over, Claire. Mark's going to prison, and he's taking what's left of your reputation with him. Claire stood on shaky legs, her world collapsing around her. As she reached the door, Alex spoke one last time. Oh, and Claire? I bought out your remaining shares. The journalist Andrea Wells would no longer be writing any stories about me or you. The door closed behind her with a definitive, damning click. Alex turned back toward the window, gazing out over the city he now unquestionably ruled. He should have felt victorious, yet instead, he felt hollow. His phone buzzed again. It was Max, Dad. Can we have pizza tonight? A faint smile touched Alex's lips. Perhaps not completely hollow after all. In a maximum security prison upstate, Mark Stevens sat in his cell, staring at the blank wall. His lawyer had just left, confirming that his plea deal had been accepted. He would spend the next decade behind bars, but at least he had avoided the life sentence Zoran was facing. As night descended over New York, 3 lives lay in ruins. Claire, once a fixture of high society, now a pariah wandering the streets with nowhere to go. Mark, locked away, his ambitions turned to ash, and Zoran, his vast criminal empire dismantled, facing justice in a Russian court. And at the center of it all stood Alexander Carrington, the man who had orchestrated their downfall. He had won, utterly and completely. Viktor Zoran stood at the window of his Moscow penthouse, a glass of vodka in hand, staring out at the city lights. His reflection in the glass showed a man consumed by fury and obsession. Alexander Carrington had humiliated him, dismantled his operations, and left him a shell of his former self. But Zoran was far from finished. His phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. It's done. The syndicate is ready. Zoran's lips curled into a cold smile. He had spent months rebuilding his network, calling in favors from the darkest corners of the criminal underworld. Now, backed by an influential Eastern European crime syndicate, he was ready to strike back at Carrington with a vengeance. Across the ocean, Alex Carrington sat in his office, reviewing quarterly reports. The past few months had been quiet, too quiet. He could not shake the feeling that something was brewing. His intercom buzzed. Mr. Carrington, we have a situation. Alex's eyes narrowed. What kind of situation, sir? We're under attack. Massive cyber attacks across all our systems. Our firewalls are failing. Alex's jaw clenched. He had been waiting for this. Initiate Protocol Omega now. But as the hours ticked by, it became clear that this was no ordinary attack. Zoran had learned from his past mistakes. This time, he wasn't just targeting Kinon Logistics. He was going after Alex's entire empire. Banks reported suspicious activities in Alex's accounts. Stock prices plummeted as sensitive information was leaked to the media. Investors panicked, pulling out in droves. Alex stood in his war room, surrounded by screens displaying the chaos unfolding across his businesses. Liam Quinn burst in. "Boss, it's worse than we thought. Zoran's got a team of corrupt lawyers filing international lawsuits against us. Environmental damage, labor violations, you name it. They're trying to bleed us dry." Alex's mind raced, calculating moves and countermoves. But before he could respond, another alert blared. "Sir," his head of security's voice crackled over the intercom. "We detected an unauthorized entry at your private residence." "Max." The line went dead. For the first time in years, Alex felt a cold fear grip his heart. "Get me to the house now." The drive to his mansion was a blur. As they approached, Alex saw signs of a struggle: broken glass, overturned furniture. He charged inside, calling for his son. "Dad." Max's voice came from upstairs. Alex took the stairs 3 at a time, bursting into his son's room. Max was huddled in a corner, shaken but unharmed. Near the window lay a man in black, unconscious. "Are you okay?" Alex asked, pulling Max into a tight embrace. Max nodded, his voice muffled against his father's chest. "I remember what you taught me about being prepared." Alex's throat tightened with a mixture of pride and guilt. He had taught his son to be strong, to be a survivor, but at what cost? As security swarmed the house, Alex's phone rang. Unknown number. "Mr. Carrington?" Zoran's voice was smooth as silk. "I trust one have your attention now." Alex's voice was cold with fury. "You've made a grave mistake, Zoran." "Oh, I don't think so," Zoran countered smoothly. "This is just the beginning. I'm going to take everything from you. Karen, your money, your power, your legacy. And when you have nothing left, when you're broken and begging for mercy, then I'll end you." The line went dead. Alex looked at Max, still clinging to him, then at the chaos surrounding them. For a moment, doubt crept in. Had he underestimated Zoran? Had his arrogance put everything and everyone he cared about at risk? But as quickly as it came, the doubt vanished, replaced by a cold, implacable resolve. Zoran wanted a war. He would give him one. Alex turned to Liam, who stood waiting for orders. "Call the team. It's time we finish this once and for all." The safe house was a nondescript brownstone in a quiet neighborhood, its basement converted into a high-tech command center. Alex sat at the head of a long table, surrounded by his most trusted advisors and operatives. Liam Quinn stood at his right hand, looking as though he hadn't slept in days. "All right," Alex said, his voice cutting through the tense silence. "Zoran thinks he's got us on the ropes. It's time we show him how wrong he is. Liam, what have you got?" Liam tapped a tablet, and holographic displays sprang to life around the room. "We've identified the key players in Zoran's syndicate, his money men, his enforcers, his political connections. They're spread across Eastern Europe and Asia, but they all report to this man." A photo appeared, depicting a severe-looking man with cold eyes. Dmitry Volov, Zoran's right-hand man and the architect of the cyber attacks against us. Alex studied the face, committing it to memory. "And our plan? We hit them where it hurts," Liam said, a predatory grin spreading across his face. "We've got teams ready to move on their money-laundering operations in Cyprus, their weapon caches in Ukraine, their drug routes through Turkey. When we're done, Zor's entire network will descend into chaos." Alex nodded, then turned to his head of legal affairs. "And the lawsuits?" he inquired. The lawyer offered a thin smile. "We have countersuits prepared for filing in every relevant jurisdiction. More significantly, we have uncovered evidence of judicial bribery. Once this information becomes public, half the judges on Zoran's payroll will be confronting criminal charges themselves." One by one, Alex's team delineated their strategies: financial attacks designed to freeze Zoran's assets, media campaigns to sway public opinion, and backdoor diplomacy to secure international cooperation in dismantling the syndicate. As the meeting drew to a close, Alex rose to his feet. "You all understand what is at stake here. Zoran believes he can obliterate everything we have built. We are going to demonstrate to him the true meaning of destruction. Execute the plan. Show no mercy. Give no quarter. The team dispersed, each member departing to set the intricate gears of Alex's counterattack into motion. However, as they filed out, Liam lingered behind. "Boss," he said, his voice lowered, "there is one more thing. I believe I have discovered a method to lure Zor out into the open. But it is risky." Alex raised an eyebrow. "I'm listening." Liam proceeded to outline his plan, a fabricated lead concerning a multi-billion-dollar deal in Dubai, crafted to be too tempting for Zoran to ignore. The catch was that it would require Alex to position himself directly in the line of fire. "It's dangerous," Liam concluded. "But if it works, we can end this once and for all." Alex fell silent for a long moment, meticulously weighing the risks. Finally, he nodded. "Do it, but ensure Max is secure. I will not allow Zoran to use him against me again." As Liam departed to set the trap, Alex remained alone in the command center. His thoughts turned to Clara, to Mark, to all the enemies he had vanquished to reach this point. Zor was merely the latest in a long line of adversaries who had underestimated him. He would be the last. Thousands of miles away, in a luxurious Moscow apartment, Zor received an encrypted message. His eyes widened as he absorbed the details of Carrington's purported deal in Dubai. "Prepare the jet," he barked at his assistant. "We are going to the Middle East." The pieces were now in motion. The final confrontation was imminent. Days later, Alex found himself standing in the opulent lobby of Dubai's most exclusive hotel, encircled by the world's business elite. The trap had been carefully laid. Now, all that remained was to wait for Zoran to take the bait. He did not have to wait long. A sudden commotion at the entrance seized his attention. Victor Zoran strode in, flanked by his bodyguards, his eyes methodically scanning the room until they locked onto Alex. For a tense moment, the two men stared at one another across the crowded lobby. Then, Zoran smiled, a cold, predatory expression, and began making his way toward Alex. But before he could reach him, chaos erupted. Police swarmed in from every entrance, shouting orders in both Arabic and English. Zoran's face twisted with rage as he realized he had been set up. "Carrington," he roared, lunging forward. But it was already too late. Officers tackled him to the ground, snapping handcuffs around his wrists. Alex watched him passively as Zoran was led away, still shouting threats and obscenities. It was over. The man who had threatened everything Alex held dear had been brought down. As the dust settled, Alex's phone buzzed. A text from Liam appeared. "It's done. Vav and the others are in custody. The syndicate is finished." Alex allowed himself a faint smile. Once again, he had emerged victorious. But as he surveyed the chaos he had orchestrated, he felt no joy, no triumph. Only a hollow emptiness. His phone buzzed once more. This time, it was Max. "Dad, are you okay? When are you coming home?" Alex closed his eyes, suddenly weary. It was time to go home. Time to face the consequences of the world he had created. Months passed. The world watched in awe as Victor Zoran's criminal empire crumbled, its tentacles severed one by one. Alexander Carrington emerged from the ashes stronger than ever, his company's stock soaring to unprecedented heights. Alex stood in his newly renovated office, gazing out over the city he now unquestionably ruled. The skyline was dotted with buildings bearing the Carrington name, a testament to his expanding empire. A knock at the door. The door interrupted his thoughts. He called, not turning around. Max entered, now a young man of 16, the spitting image of his father. "The board is waiting. They're ready for your presentation on the Zoran acquisition." Alex nodded, allowing himself a small smile. He had taken control of Zoran's legitimate business assets, expanding his reach into markets he had only dreamed of before. His strategic mind had thrived in the aftermath of his victory, turning near defeat into unparalleled success. As they walked to the boardroom, Alex studied his son. Max had witnessed the darker side of his rise to power, had seen the ruthlessness required to survive in this world. But he had also seen his father's intelligence, his resilience, his unwavering determination. "Remember, Max," Alex said as they paused outside the boardroom. "In this world, you're either the predator or the prey. Always be prepared. Always be 3 steps ahead." Max nodded, his eyes serious. "I know, Dad. You've taught me well." For a moment, Alex saw a flicker of something in his son's eyes, admiration mixed with caution. Max respected his father's strength, his ability to overcome any obstacle, but he was careful not to emulate the cold ruthlessness that had defined Alex's path to the top. As the board meeting progressed, Alex laid out his plans for further expansion. The other executives listened in awe and fear, knowing that to cross Alexander Carrington was to court destruction. He had proven that with Claire, with Mark, with Zoran. Mercy and forgiveness were weaknesses he could no longer afford. Later that evening, Alex stood on the balcony of his penthouse, a glass of scotch in hand. The city sprawled before him, a glittering testament to his power. For the first time in his life, he felt truly untouchable. He thought back to the day Max had innocently asked about prenuptial agreements, setting in motion the chain of events that had led him here. He felt no regret for the choices he had made, the lives he had altered. In his mind, the destruction had been nothing more than obstacles to overcome. The world was a battlefield, and Alexander Carrington had emerged as the undisputed victor. As the sun set over his empire, Alex allowed himself a rare, genuine smile. This wasn't the end. It was only the beginning of his reign, and he was ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. Behind him, he heard Max's footsteps. His son joined him at the railing, looking out over the city. "It's incredible, isn't it?" Max said softly. "Everything you've built." Alex nodded, putting an arm around his son's shoulders. "And someday, it'll all be yours." Max was silent for a moment, then turned to face his father. "Dad, do you ever wonder, was it worth it? The cost of getting here?" Alex met his son's gaze, seeing in it a warmth and humanity that he himself had long since abandoned. For a brief moment, he felt a flicker of doubt, but he pushed it aside. "In this world, Max, you take what you want, or watch someone else take it from you. I chose to take it. Remember that." Max nodded slowly, turning back to the view, but Alex saw the conflict in his eyes, the struggle between admiration for his father's achievements and unease at the methods used to attain them. In that moment, Alex realized that while he had conquered the world, there was one thing he might never fully possess: his son's unquestioning allegiance to his worldview. Max would forge his own path, shaped by, but not beholden to his father's legacy. And strangely, Alex found he was okay with that. Perhaps it was Max's role to be the one thing his empire had lacked: a moral compass, a reminder of the humanity he'd sacrificed on his climb to the top. As night fell over the city, father and son stood side by side, overlooking the empire they would shape together. The future stretched out before them, full of possibilities and challenges yet to come. Alexander Carrington had won his war. Now, with Max by his side, it was time to secure his legacy for generations to follow. And so, here we are, where our story draws to a close. I invite you to share your reflections in the comments below. Thank you for the time you have spent with us. If this tale has brought you pleasure, I warmly encourage you to subscribe to this channel. Simply select the video you see upon the screen, and I shall await you there.